guys, welcome back to Jurassic Collectibles. So if you tuned in recently, you'll know that we had a big unboxing of these Kaiyodo T-Rex dinosaurs. We've got 3 variants from Everything Dinosaur. Check out the link down below if you haven't seen that unboxing. But today we're going to kick off by taking a closer look at this one. It's the Tyrannosaurus Classic Image Color version. You can find the item featured in today's review and more at everythingdinosaur.com. Check out their site today. So these have been manufactured by Kaiyodo, and they're designed to show off their engineering and articulation prowess by actually having 10 points of articulation. And the idea behind that is to actually permit collectors to pose a T-Rex in all the possible ways that have been proposed since this dinosaur was actually formally named and described in 1905. This one comes in a classic coloration. It's called Classic Image, so I assume it's trying to aspire to be almost like a Charles Knight painting or something of that coloration. Just from my gazing longingly into the box, I can see this is actually a very nicely detailed Tyrannosaurus Rex. Quickly appreciating the packaging, they've gone for almost like a militarized industrial look with weathering and pop rivets. You can see we've got a window so we can see the T-Rex inside. Behind we've got some nice prehistoric ferns and foliage and palm trees. It says Tyrannosaurus Rex 270mm. On the side we've got a nice image of the T-Rex head in profile. It says Classic Image Color there. On the back we've got the T-Rex in various poses set against a volcano backdrop. We've also got a rundown of all the versions available. So there are 2 others. There's a green version and a tiger stripe version. We'll be reviewing all on the channel, so stay tuned for that. On the opposite side we've got this nice artwork here of the T-Rex in a roaring pose. I'm assuming that's a pose that the toy can make. On the top it says Tyrannosaurus Rex Classic Image Color, and you've got a nice image of the T-Rex. And then underneath, again, really nice image that's photographic of the T-Rex roaring. Really nice packaging actually, and one you might want to keep this thing in if you're kind of one of those collectors that likes to put it back in the box. Okay, without further ado, let's get this one out of the packaging. Okay, removing the Rex, you can get a better look at that backdrop, which actually would make a really nice diorama for your dinosaur figures. You could cut off that top bit and it would access quite a lot of light, so it's pretty cool actually as backdrops go. Twist ties. And here is the Kaiyodo Sofubi Toybox T-Rex in Classic Image Color. I've been dying to get one of these out of the box, and I'm glad I have. It's actually really light, surprisingly light, and that doesn't always equal less or more quality. It's just surprising, and I think we quite often equivalent weight with quality, but in this case it's surprisingly light. The arms are a little bit rubbery, I noticed, taking it out of the box, as is the tail. Areas that are pointy and you'd expect to be a bit more soft. I believe the rest is almost like a hard plastic or hardened rubber, but very nicely painted, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this seems to be paleontologically accurate. It's actually a very nicely accurate figure as far as I can tell. Now, something I'm quite excited to try is the 10 points of articulation that's unique to this figure. And the first thing I notice is actually they've articulated the upper jaw, not the lower jaw, which is really nice because it means that it has this sort of downward default pose, which is quite unique to this figure, and I quite like because they've got these nice folds underneath the neck that kind of support that pose. Got the neck articulation, which is actually really quite broad. You can get some really nice poses. You can get the T-Rex looking over its shoulder. The only thing is you do get the butt of the neck showing here, but they've kind of creased it to kind of minimize how unsightly that looks. Then you've got the arms. These are rubbery and they do take a little bit of force first time round. Then you've got articulation at the thigh here, at the hips. You can move the leg forward and backward, and it's got quite a big range of motion. Look at that. And then you can twist at the ankle, so do a 360. I don't think there's any articulation. It looks like there's a crease there, but there's no articulation in the toes. It's just rubbery. Then you've got a full twist on the tail, so you can do 360 on that, and same with the tip. So there is a lot of posability in this guy, and they haven't opted for the kind of standard Kaiyodo ball joints, which might make this look a little bit unsightly. They've still managed to preserve the nice sculpted look of this figure. And although I wouldn't claim that this has instant bold appeal in its paint scheme, it's actually very nicely done with earthy colours that remind me almost of Papo figures, and the airbrushing is really graceful all over the body. There's not many areas that stand out as looking artificially painted. Maybe only the toe claws and the finger claws, maybe the whiteness in the teeth, but the rest of the body is actually done really nicely, as if it's almost like a one-off piece. I think they've stayed really true to paleontological finds. This is a lovely tribute piece from them, and I really do like the downward head default position. There's something really unique about having that curved neck like that, and they've gone for sharp teeth here as well, which is nice. You don't get that on all modern figures. Sometimes they round them off, so for collectors it's really nice to see that they've preserved the sharpness of the teeth. They have sort of globbed the teeth together on the lower jaw, but I can forgive that for the kind of overall look of the thing when the jaw is closed. I think that still looks really nice. The inside of the mouth has been painted and weathered, and they've given it a really high gloss finish. You can see it on the corners of the mouth there, which gives it a really genuine wet look. As we move down the neck, you've got all these lovely creases and folds, which, as I said, help support the kind of downward head position. If I rotate the head, you can see some of the nice creases that they've sculpted underneath where it's exposed to kind of lessen the impact of this hard edge that's visible. Really lovely creases all over here. Definitely feels like Papo or Rebor level. Very stark painted white finger claws, but very nicely sculpted detail. Nice creases underneath the torso here. Really nice little picked out scales, large scales going along the back. As we move into the leg, again, really nice sculpted fine scaling. Nice creasy knees. Very bird-like feet. Again, a little bit strange that they've picked that sort of white coloration for the toe claws. I always prefer them sort of dark or weathered. The undersides of the feet just bearing the Kaiyodo logo there. They've been lightly sculpted. And you can see the musculature here in the legs, really defined as we move into the saggy flesh of the tail and the musculature running through it. Really nice sculpted detail going on here. I almost feel like this has come from a digital file of some sort. It's got that really kind of fine detailing going on that you could only get in a digital file, and then shrinking it down to preserve all this information. And again, really nice sculpted detail on the leg. The legs are symmetrical, which sometimes I don't like, but in this case, because there's so much articulation, I think you add the pose, you bring the contrast to the pose. Nice sagging skin here, and nice the way that they've left this volume for the leg to rotate into, despite the fact that actually it needs to be quite cavernous here. They've kind of gotten away with that with this saggy skin. Again, nice folds in the neck, nice detail on the arm there as we move back into that beautiful head sculpt. Now, according to Everything Dinosaur, the articulation is quite unique in that you can achieve what's known as the kangaroo pose, which is the legs forward and the tail resting on the ground like so. Apparently that's paleontologically accurate and or possible, so that's pretty cool for when it's resting. And then also there's the seesaw stance pose, which again apparently is sort of recognised paleontologically, and I believe it's like this. There we go. Yeah, so apparently that's the seesaw pose. So the fact that it can balance like this and you've still got all this articulation is really nice, and a nice conversation piece. Now, Everything Dinosaur also pointed out that the feet are not huge, and that's because this figure was carefully mapped out by Kaiyodo to be accurate. So it might have some balancing issues, but as I just showed you, it seems to do fairly well in terms of the seesaw pose. So just how big is this figure? So on the box it does actually say it's about 27 centimeters long, which is about 10.5 inches from tail to tip of the nose. In terms of the height standing here, you're looking at about 6 inches, which is about 15.5 centimeters. In terms of width, at the widest point, I'm going to take the rib cage. Actually, no, I'm going to take the knees. You're looking at about 2 inches, which is about 5 centimeters. Scale comparison time. Let's bring in the recently reviewed Eofauna Giganotosaurus. This hyper-realistic figure has been reviewed on the channel, link is down below should you want to see this one. But actually they scale up quite nicely next to each other, and I think the detail really pops on the Kaiyodo Tyrannosaurus Rex, slightly more so than the Eofauna model, but we do know that Giganotosaurus had quite smooth, fine scales. Next, let's bring in the classic green Papo Tyrannosaurus Rex. Most of you are familiar with this figure, or the brown variation, and you can see how it scales up to give you an idea just how big this Kaiyodo figure is. Next, let's bring in our good friend, it's Off-Color Alan. And as you can see in this scale, this thing looks like a juvenile Rex, which actually does feature in the Jurassic Park novel. So if you did want a smaller Tyrannosaurus Rex for your Alan Grant figure, then maybe look no further. Thanks, Alan! There he goes, he's leaving the review table. So there we have it, guys. This is actually a really nice collector's piece. If you can afford the price tag, definitely invest in this. And also, if you're a big T-Rex fan, I'd definitely say this is one to add to your collection. It's a real surprise to me. I didn't know what to think of the articulation originally, but I really like it. The posability makes it really nice to pick up this figure and start posing him. It's a really cool little figure in terms of playability, even as a collector. And the paint job is actually stunning. It's growing on me. Even though I'm not fond of the kind of instant appeal of this piece, I can't help but appreciate how much love has gone into this little figure from Kaiyodo. Now, I know the numbers of this piece are limited, so it's a limited edition, but Everything Dinosaur still has them in stock, I believe. So check out the link down below if you want to get your hands on one of these, and we will be reviewing the other two variants, which don't come in a collector's box like this one, but they are two other paint schemes available. In the meantime, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Now you've seen it reviewed, why not pick up your own at everythingdinosaur.com. Link is in the description.